Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our local government webinar, and thank you for joining us today. I hope everyone is keeping safe. I'm Inder Lamba. I'm the Director of Customer Experience here at CSBA. It is incredible to see the spirit of our local government community, where we have about 20 local government councils across the country, both from the East and West Coast, who have joined us for this session today in the midst of the current pandemic, COVID-19.
Thank you, Inder. A bit about me before we start. I'm a consultant at CSBA, and I specialize in customer experience strategy, as well as in creating and in facilitating frontline and leadership training and development programs. I'm so grateful we can all be here today to share in these key discussions, as well as come together as a community to support each other in these times. No doubt, COVID-19 has impacted everyone in some way. With these challenges have come unique opportunities for us to communicate with customers and our teams in an innovative way, especially using technology. So Nick, if you could launch into our first topic, evolving with changing times, introduce yourself and tell us your challenges and the successes you have experienced transitioning your teams to work from home, as well as in launching live chat.
Fantastic. Thanks, Pierre. And obviously, welcome everybody. As Pierre's just said, what a fantastic opportunity to, again, I guess, share and collaborate. Yes, my name's Nick. I'm the coordinator of customer service at the City of Maroondah in the eastern suburbs here in Melbourne. I've been, I guess, in local government for a good 15 odd years, in amongst a whole range of sort of service transformation projects and activities across local government. So can certainly see a few familiar names there. And so, yeah, I look forward to catching up with all of you. But ultimately, yeah, a big shout out to all the local government customer service teams who have adapted their services so quickly in response to the pandemic, and obviously in support of all local communities across Australia. I guess from my perspective, I'm sure there's been some fantastic examples of across all the states where people have been sharing and collaborating and benchmarking. Particularly here in Victoria, it's been fantastic. So I guess it's an ongoing sort of balancing act between people, process, and obviously that main ticket item at the moment, which is technology. Again, thanks to CSBA, and obviously happy to be sharing the stage here with Peter and Brandon, who are making some fantastic progress within their local government areas as well. So I guess just to set the scene for me and Maroondah, 3 years ago we produced our new customer service strategy, like we do every sort of 3 to 4 years, and very much the same as a lot of councils. This particular strategy for us had I guess quite a direct focus around technology, self-service, and very much a focus around online engagement. So I guess we've been sort of exploring these options over the last few years in different ways. And I guess if I was breaking it down into phases, we've had a bit of a learning phase where we initiated a reactive chat bubble on our website. We were sort of, in doing that, we received on average around 10 chats a day. It was our first exposure as well to staff multitasking. So staff being able to handle inbound phone calls as well as live chats. We did some extensive community engagement around the development of the strategy. And I guess that period of time for us was very much around learning about this evolving channel, this evolving world, this digital world. So not much happening there. We weren't getting a huge amount of chats. It was a little bit clunky. We were sort of finding our way. Moving into, I guess, 2019, we decided to put in a dedicated platform for online engagement, and this was predominantly focused around live chat. We sort of started to get increased volume. We started to average around sort of 30 to 40 chats a day. We continued, I guess, to build knowledge, work with service areas across the organisation to, I guess, be a bit more responsive, try to handle more inquiries at that first point of contact. Through 2019, we tried some new things. We introduced SMS as a new channel. And I guess probably one of the biggest aspects of the growth was around building in our internal service partnerships. So the likes of rates, waste, local laws, they were our service partners, and obviously in conjunction with those guys, we were able to, I guess, really focus on enhancing the online experience. Where we sort of sit today in amongst this this pandemic is we've got our full remote team of 14 staff who are currently, I guess, operating on cloud-based platforms, both from a call center perspective as well as live chat. The growth, obviously, in the online chats has been, I guess, it's surpassed our expectations. Probably the biggest shift has been the proactive offer of engagement online. We're daily now, we're offering up to 1,500 offers of support and help for customers online. And we're now averaging sort of around 100 live chats every day. In amongst the pandemic, that's grown obviously, and we're sort of now sort of around the 150 mark. And this is where we've got agents that are now multitasking on multiple chats. So it's definitely been a huge shift for us as well. I guess, yeah, in recent weeks, yeah, it has been probably the go-to platform for our community when it comes to facility closures, hardship, and a range of COVID community information. So probably one of the greatest parts as well is we've finished some integration with the SnapSend Solve app, and we've also been able to integrate Facebook Messenger into the one platform as well. So when we talk about all the different digital elements coming together, that's truly been probably one of our successes in the last few months in particular. We have also implemented a virtual assistant now, who the Maroondah City Council's virtual assistant, who's assisting, I guess, almost a quarter of all of our online customers to self-serve and complete their interactions as well. So in amongst that, we're sort of expanding our hours. We're offering offline chats. And I guess, you know, not to sort of forget the importance of our internal service partnerships with our other stakeholders internally, which has, I guess, really enabled some of the success. And we sort of call this phase of our transition to our online engagement as, I guess, very much that it is very engaging as far as customer service at the moment. So I guess it's hard to sort of sum up in such a short time, but I hope that sort of gives a little bit of perspective as to the rise of this channel for Maroondah and what it's obviously doing at the moment. And we're getting some fantastic feedback even in these challenging times from customers as well.
Wow, that's really a very comprehensive amount of information in a nutshell, isn't it? Nick, that's fantastic that you've got, you know, on top of that wave of technology. You started quite early to experiment with live chat and develop it. So it's helped you now to transition quite smoothly and easily. And you mentioned that your agents were now capable of handling multiple chats. How many chats does an agent sort of handle at a time?
Yeah, so we've been able to have our agents handling up to 3 customer chats, so 3 interactions at any given time. And that's also, I guess, balancing the multiple systems that they need to use to record customer requests. We've got an online knowledge management system, which is helping customers, helping us deliver a bit of consistency around what we're saying and doing. So things like saved responses are becoming very handy for us in order to, I guess, keep pace and handle the multi facets of live chat as well.
What are some of the most common queries that you might get in live chat, considering there's so much happening in the community, so many people are impacted, probably quite vulnerable as well?
Yeah.
Could you share with us perhaps what is happening around that space?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we very much went into essential services. So the normal everyday services that customers contact us for, and we all know, I think everyone here knows what those services are. We're talking about people's bins, hard waste collections, information about rates, and customers that are wanting to know if they're obviously in hardship, what are some alternatives, what is council doing to support them financially as well. We do have some direct links via our live chat to COVID-19 community information, and that's sort of, I guess, also referring a lot of the inquiries from a national and a state level when it comes to community information about specifically corona. So we're actually finding that customers are coming to our website and they're looking for information that's directly related to COVID, and they're able to find that very quickly with the assistance of either our virtual assistant or our live agents that pop up and actually ask them, can I help you? So that's been really encouraging as well.
We've got comments coming through. So Jay Chan saying that in his case, they're at a soft launch stage and they're trying to sort out all the impacts that the technology is creating. But the customer feedback has been 100% positive.
Yeah.
We've got Joseph saying that he's had experience implementing live chat in a university 10 years ago and was very popular with that age group or demographics, which can play a role in, uptake. And Peter Hiranzi says from Moonee Valley City Council that their calls have declined since, there's a pandemic plan. In anticipation of increasing volumes, there's a new hardship contact center, which they have established by reassigning staff. And really some great action where, even staff are able to join the hardship if they're in hardship, and the application process. So some really good sharing around rates, installment, footpath trading, food and health, premises registration. So we're getting a lot of good information and insights on that as well. Nick, from my end, I'm just wondering, at this time with our teams working from home, as a leader at the best of times, it's challenging to manage and motivate a team to deliver, a consistent level of high quality service. What are certain things you might be doing around that space?
Yeah, so we've got 14 team members who are currently working remotely. We have obviously a regular sort of support to all 14 staff who are at different times struggling with technical issues. Obviously, there has been a slight delay in how we sort of access our systems because we now are limited to one laptop screen, and we don't necessarily have the luxury anymore of having dual screens and multiple, I guess, platforms running. So we are taking a little bit longer to get to the inquiries, particularly on the phones, and that's where I think we're seeing a rise in customers wanting to still have an efficient sort of response, and have found that the chat is providing that as well. So for us, we've certainly noticed a shift of channels. and we are now sort of finding customers, once they've had an interaction with us online, we would very much think that they're going to return. They're going to come back to that channel in the future because it's delivered for them very promptly, and they've got the information that they needed without sort of any delay waiting in a queue. So yes, we have shifted some of our resource from the phones into our online engagement platforms as well at the moment.
Lovely. And we've got John Griffith saying that at Knox, people have taken extra screens from the office if they didn't have their own, which has helped.
Yeah.
Also, I'm just thinking about, when you're in an office environment, your leader is able to quickly coach or give you feedback, and also, motivate you and call out your successes. How does that happen with the remote work?
Yeah, it's definitely a lot trickier. Communication, when you're not obviously seeing someone, is certainly presents different challenges. So for us, we do morning check-ins with everybody individually, and that just might be a little Skype message or a little comment in our online platforms. And then we end every day with a wrap up. So every day at 5 o'clock, we have a Zoom meeting similar to this one, and we share and we have a laugh, and we, I guess, from a team morale perspective, we're still able to bring everyone together. So I guess that's one of the fantastic things around the technology that we've got at our fingertips. So
absolutely, absolutely. And Melissa Grinley saying that they're using MS Teams to communicate, which has been working well. And of course, what I'm interested in is, the other day you mentioned, Nick, about your internal partners and how you are supporting and backing them to be able to use live chat. Could you share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. It's probably been one of the trickier sides, but we now have our internal service teams able to take a chat. So the likes of local laws, rates, and waste can all actually now engage with customers via the chat. Part of our strategic direction is that we are resolving the majority of inquiries at that first point of contact, but where we were sort of falling down at times was that sometimes customers need a little bit of expertise or some technical assistance, which can only be provided from the service areas. And we were in a position where we were actually sort of saying to the customer who was on chat that they'd have to contact us by phone. So we really tried to avoid that. So in the last, I guess it's probably been the last 3 to 4 months, we've been able to provide training and support for other service areas other than customer service to support us, I guess, with the customers as well. So that's been a fantastic initiative that's really, I guess, been shared across the organisation. So yeah, that's been great.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you, Nick, for sharing. Thank you for letting us into your approach and what's been happening for you. It's time to move on to our next topic. Thanks everyone for your inputs as well. And as we move on to our next guest, we're going to go into lessons in agility and collaboration with Brandon. So Brandon, please introduce yourself and share with us what was perhaps the first response to what was happening, the closures, the restrictions, and then how did you pivot? As you mentioned the other day to me, how did you make the impossible possible?
Thanks, Steve. So if this is a little bit disconcerting, normally you see people at the other end of it. So it's I feel like I'm kind of just talking to you. So Kingston City Council's in the southeast of Melbourne on the water, and our council has probably had an experience that you can't plan for this experience. You can't plan for this situation, but all of the work we've been doing over the last 12 to 18 months around in setting up the infrastructure for mobility and getting everyone on laptops and getting the backbone of our infrastructure to work so that we can be working remotely or working flexibly has started to pay off. Like most councils, we had traditional rhythms. So our contact centre covers phone, it covers chat, covers social media and digital through various channels. So for us, the challenge was going from an environment where everything was known and everything was constant to an environment where it wasn't. We use a telephony system called Mitel. Now, Mitel has some good bits and pieces with it, but sometimes the operation of the technology can be challenging. About 4 weeks before COVID-19 hit, we were having conversations around the telephony, and we were told it wasn't possible to set up a contact center agent from home, not with the current version that we had. So when the pandemic hit, we sat down with IT and with some of our team and figured out a way to make the technology work. So we went, in 10 days, we moved everyone in the customer care team offsite to work from home. They took home, there were the monitors from their workstations. So currently the office looks a bit barren, and set up their environment at home. We had to give them a handset, and we had to get them to plug into their modem or supply them a Nighthawk modem so that they could access the services. We had a VPN already set up so that they dialed into that and they could operate that way. So we mobilized that quickly. In fact, Kingston moved about 850 staff to working from home in 2 weeks. So I guess there's nothing like a pandemic to test your BCP, right? So it was definitely a lesson. There are things that we did really well. There were things that we'll learn from. I think the phased approach of moving staff and functions and teams offsite worked. We had, in the process of moving people offsite, we had to work with those teams because they were going to an environment where they may not have access to the same call queues, the same call telephony. So we had to sort out authentication and handshake and agreement protocols for how we would manage requests. We had teams that went offsite that couldn't take calls, so we took on their calls, like our planning department. We took all of their calls into our team and then monitored that. So we kind of centralized the service and centralized the service model for this. I think Microsoft Teams was a bit of a game changer for us. We'd used a bit of it, but not very much. But as far as working with the team and keeping them engaged, that's been a major tool that we've used every day. We have daily huddles with the leadership team. We have weekly huddles with all the teams. We do call coaching, call evaluations via Microsoft Teams. So we're using that every day. Sometimes you get to the end of the day and you feel a bit tired because all you've done is talk at the screen all day. But I think it's just the way we have to work now. The other part for us was working out how do we articulate the knowledge in that changing environment and how do we replicate that in the chatbot that we have set up. So our chatbot's been in operation for about 16, 17 months. Before that, we had live chat for about 4 or 5 years and we were managing that. The chatbot runs with about 300 plus questions and intents. So that is our primary contact. And that primary contact, it handles all of those first level interactions via chat. So we know that if we don't get it right, it's going to spill into the team and then it'll end up the team having to take over the chat or the customer request to talk to a person. But to give you some context, I guess, the questions that we have and what we have operating, we've seen an increase in chat requests and we've seen an increase in questions, mainly about facilities that are open, facilities that are accessible, and what's happening with access to services. So things like libraries and stuff like that, when they're open and how they're operating. So it's really been an interesting exercise because we've had to take information sometimes on an hourly basis, update our knowledge management system so that the team have the information and have access to that, but also put that into the chatbot. Chat for us is growing considerably. The chatbot handles about 85% of first level interactions without any human involvement. We have a different number of philosophies with how we manage chat. So there'll be some of it is a signpost, so it'll clarify what people are asking and then point them to the online service or the online form or whatever they needed to fill in order to complete their request. It will also supply information and links to external services where appropriate. And that's working really well. Our chatbot, the team is called CSBA. so CEEBS, and so they're now a member of the team. The guys keep an eye on it, make sure that things don't go off the rails a little bit, some of the conversations, because some people do ask strange questions and sometimes the bot doesn't know how to handle that. But I think collectively we've moved things very quickly from what's known into what's unknown, and we've done that while maintaining the integrity and the quality of the service. A knowledge management system has been key in how we manage things and update information. A knowledge management system has a COVID-19 hub that we keep all the information for that people will need and access during this current situation. And that system is also being used by other teams, not just customer care. Whilst our call volumes have gone up as we've taken on more calls from other teams, they've now started to normalise. We noticed probably a reduction of about 20% in the last week in call volumes. But I think the team is consistently, like, they're into a rhythm now and into a routine, and those things that were new and the adrenaline of what was new is kind of worn off, and now we're into the sort of the day-to-day. The thing for this whole situation for me was, what do we learn from this and what do we do differently from this? I think the new when we go back to the office will not be the normal that we've had before then. I think there's going to be people who have a higher expectation around flexibility of work, and also around having access to tools that they need at home in order to do their job. I think there will be challenges for how we deliver services and how we connect with each other across the organisation. There's also another side, which is for me is broader than just a single council. For me, there's a challenge around, if we have a situation like this that happens again, it's almost like the councils are still doing things in isolation, and we kind of need to, and I understand some of that context. But as far as an industry in the sector, if we could leverage common technology, common platforms of technology, common platforms of telephony, and share the cost of development of that and access of that, we can mobilise and move entire councils to different locations, even different councils, if we need to, in order to manage this stuff. Some of the features and options that are available in a lot of telephony systems are normally at the sort of higher end of the market, is where you get the rich features, but that collective buying power of the sector may make a bit of a difference to how we manage that. The other things that have stood out for me is that it's amazing what you can do when you have to. And I think that there has been a lot of pride from the team in the fact that we've managed to mobilise things so quickly and move offsite. I think we've got teams that are resilient and staff that are resilient. We've got some staff that the only way that she could hook into her internet, because the modem was in the walk-in wardrobe, is that her desk is in the walk-in wardrobe in the bedroom. So we've got one of our team that work from their walk-in robe every day. We've got people that are working like me in a shed or a man cave, whatever you want to call it. And we've got people who are working at kitchen tables, working in their bedrooms, working in the kids' rooms. It's shown that they've got a bit of resilience to be able to continue with that activity. The other side of that is we've had to understand a little bit more the impact of family and the impact of family on people who are working, particularly with school kids home, and homeschooling sort of stuff starting particularly this term has created some challenges. But I think there's a good attitude to how we manage this, and the team has been receptive and willing to try different things in order to make it work, because they feel like what they do adds value. Probably the other thing that really stood out to me is that when we made a decision to move people offsite and we centralised some of the service offering, or more of the service offering, into customer care, it started to make a lot more sense from a process point of view. Centralising that first point of contact into one team and then managing those interactions, creating requests to go to other teams for action, but then bringing that back to the customer care team has actually showed there's good economies of scale, but the process is robust and works really well when you apply load to it. When you have small teams with 2 or 3 people in it and one person's sick or one person can't work, it places load on that team and they become less effective in what they're doing. But I think this has really shown us what is possible from a service model.
Wow, that's a whole lot of information, Brandon, and a lot that you have done in such a short span of time. That it's amazing. I mean, developing a chatbot to transitioning people to work from home, and the collaboration, that your vision for collaborating across councils is amazing, because that would help to have business continuity should, this sort of a situation come through again, where you can try, put customers could be serviced from another council if you're not able to do that, which is fabulous. We've had so much comments coming through about everybody doing things in their councils. Some councils are still working from the office buildings, but in different spaces to keep social distance going. And some others have only 5% in the work in the office environment, the others home. So everyone's responding in a different way, depending on what's happening in their location. And so what I'm thinking about is well-being, isn't it? Well-being of staff, of our employees. We're so used to being around a team. We're so used to having a little bit of a chat to de-stress during work, or a coffee catch up and then get back to work. And that social bonding perhaps is something that, we might be missing at this time. Do you have any thoughts around that, Brandon?
Yes, we've thought a lot about that. I think well-being is really important anyway, but in a time like this is more so. So using Microsoft Teams is to eyeball each other and have conversations. We've split the large team. We've got 25 people in my team, so we split them into teams into 3 so that they could have smaller group meetings, that more people could interact and more people could communicate with each other. We've encouraged the team to use Teams in their lunch breaks or in their morning tea breaks if they want to chat with other staff members and catch up and not talk about work. We've also got a WhatsApp group for people to talk with. Usually it goes nuts when the Bachelor's on and stuff like that. And they can communicate outside about non-work stuff. We also really struggle with working out what to do about recognition. So recognition when everyone's in the building and everyone's in a team together is easy. There's stuff you can put on walls, there's information like that. So how do we pass on the really good customer feedback to the team, and how do we do it in a way that's entertaining? So my team got together and made a video and had a whole lot of customer comments on placards and did it all to music. So I think it means that for us, we need to be, as leaders, we need to be creative about how we engage with the team and how we keep them engaged. It's also really important to be able to laugh at yourself and to have a laugh, because when you laugh, the people you laugh with, your brain reacts with chemicals and creates connections with people based on laughter. So
absolutely, yeah. Emotions
really
are contagious.
Yeah, absolutely.
What we did at CSBA is we had a pet competition where all of us had to send pictures of our pets or pets that we'd like to have. And we had to guess which pet belonged to who. And then it was hilarious. And then, of course, there was a winner. So there's always something fun to do, I suppose. I've heard that other people have, dress up in a particular way and, or at the start of a meeting, share what you cooked and your recipe, or even a dance-off. I've heard of dance-off. I've heard of a virtual afternoon tea. I'll be really interested in seeing, what other people are doing. Rhett has said we've done virtual drinks on Friday afternoon.
Yep, we've done that.
Yeah, which is great. Lots of laughing is important.
We've also done something around gratitude. So we have something around gratitude that we're running with across the whole organisation. But one of those things is a dismount. So what's the image for you? What's the image for you that your most shows the gratitude and how you feel? And we're sharing those as an organisation. And then we're going to put those together in a format that people can access and see over time. So I think a lot of this stuff is really, you can just let it happen or you can drive it. And I think for us with customer service teams that are very social animals and very social people, we need to play a much bigger role in driving that kind of engagement.
Thank you. Thank you for all that information, Brandon. It was very insightful. It's time to move on to our next topic. And thanks everyone for the fabulous suggestions that are coming through around social bonding, and as well as all the other inputs that you have given in this discussion. So let's move on now to strategies for bouncing back with Peter. So Peter, could you please tell us a bit about yourself and your journey in evolving your digital channels, your pains, your gains, and also your vision for bouncing back?
Yeah, thanks, Pia. Great to have everyone here today, and really appreciate people's time in this environment that we're in. Also, thanks very much to CSBA for this opportunity to present and hear some fantastic input from Brandon and also Nick. And then I'm really fascinated to see some of the comments coming through, and I'm gaining some really good insights from other councils, which is I'm really pleased about. So from my point of view, I'm working for the Mornington Peninsula Shire, so that's in the southeast of Melbourne, and my current role is the coordinator of customer experience. And I've been working across the customer experience across the organisation for the past 3 years, leading the customer service team and also implementing continuous improvement projects. We have a devolved customer service team, and that goes across EPU, infrastructure, planning, communities and rates. So each of those teams have their own customer service focus. The other aspect that's going in the background is a business transformation project, which is covering the whole of the organisation. And the vision of that project, the business transformation project, is to be customer focused and service led. So that's sort of the context of where live chat fits in. And with the customer focus that we have, we wanted to offer a new channel to the community. And so we began live chat 2.5 years ago. And we started with 3 customer service officers who volunteered to be involved. So we put an expression of interest to the team. And then we undertook a soft launch of live chat and basically turned it on and thought, right, what's going to happen? Because we had no idea how the community was going to interact with that. We had a pretty amazing response. It was slow. And what we really focused on when we launched the live chat was to analyse each chat as it came in, to understand the customer experience and also to understand the operator experience. And from that, we were able to adjust, understand what was happening in the live chat channel and develop some clear metrics to measure the customer experience and then report on the live chat channel. We also, in analysing the chats, we developed lots of saved responses. And I think Nick and Brandon have already mentioned that, where we developed a saved response to make sure we've got consistent information. It also saves the time of the operator so that they can just easily, quickly search and find it. And we developed those saved responses in collaboration with the teams within the organisation. And again, that's what Nick and Brandon also spoke about, that real important work there. We also wanted to have a really high resolution in the live chat channel. And so that was dependent on making sure the operator had the knowledge and that the live chat platform was easy to use. And also that that the operator provided an empathetic approach to the customer to give them a good experience and then ensure that they come back again. And that's worked really well. Probably took about 4 months before we started getting repeat customers. And then once people came and had a good experience, they kept going with it. The other aspect that we didn't realise was that we would majorly improve our website, because the customer service officers and also the customers were saying either we couldn't find the information on the website or it's not very clear. So from that, we went back to the teams who owned the content on the website and we improved it. So that was a really good positive outcome of live chat. Quality checks is another thing we strongly focused on. to make sure that there was the accuracy of information, that there was that empathetic response, and also that there was a high resolution that people were actually resolving in the channel. In January 2019, we went 24/7 with live chat, and we introduced it to our after hours team. And because the platform, the live chat platform that we use is quite intuitive, and with all the saved responses that we developed, the after hours team was able to pick up and run with live chat very quickly. And so, and it's been absolutely taken up by the community, particularly in the evenings and on weekends. In regard to volume that we have with live chat, we on the Mornington Peninsula, we're a bit of a holiday destination, so we have a summer peak and then everyone goes home, so we have a winter drop-off. So during summer we have about 150 to 200 live chats per day during business hours, and after hours on a weekday, on a weeknight, it's usually between 20 and 50. And then on weekends during the summer, we can have somewhere between 50 and 120 chats each for a Saturday or a Sunday. And then over winter, it basically halves. So we have half the volume. So business hours is about 80 to 100 chats per day. One of the key things that we really focused on as well was supporting the team to make sure that it was a successful introduction to live chat and that we continue to improve it. We focused on receiving the information and feedback from the team and responding to that as well, to understand what was happening and how we could improve what we're doing. The other really important aspect, particularly earlier on, was the monthly reporting from our live chat provider, which provided some really good insights into what was happening with our chats and also how we could improve what we're doing and better utilise that channel. I must say, I've been really surprised. The team has really enjoyed live chat. It's a variety. It's something different to the phones or cashier or in person. And so they've responded really well, and that's all members of the team. Some took a little bit longer to warm up to it, but they enjoy it. The other point to mention is that we blend chat with our phone. So if there's no chat, then people jump on the phone. So the impact on COVID-19 on our organisation and particularly chat, in a nutshell, our phone and chat volume doubled. So we had, close to double the volume coming in. The really key thing for us was to have a really strong connection with the communications team for consistency of messaging. So what we would do is we would bring the messages or questions and themes from the customer and the community to the comms for a standard response. And then we would develop up that and put that in as a saved response. And this provided really clear messaging for the community and alleviated some of the community concern. As mentioned, a lot of people have moved to working from home, so we've transitioned to 100% working from home, which was reasonably smooth. A few minor glitches here and there, but it was well done. A few people have mentioned Teams. We use Microsoft Teams as well, and we have a daily check-in with a set agenda, and that's working really well. So, I reflect what other people have said in the comments, and also Brandon and Nick, what they've commented on as well. The communication side of things, email is for our formal communication, and Microsoft Teams is a bit more informal, a bit more fun, GIFs and videos, all that sort of stuff. Through COVID-19, supporting the team is been really important. So the questions we always ask ourselves as a leadership team is, what does the team need to succeed? How is the team being impacted? And what is the team telling us? So in answering those questions, that's how we've been able to move forward and support the team.
Fabulous, Peter. I mean, you have so much to share, and we have a quick question coming from our attendees. We have Jessica asking Peter, how do you conduct those accuracy, empathy, and resolution checks?
So the reporting in our live chat platform is quite detailed, and we have our senior customer service officer review 10% of chats, and then we report back to each individual CSO. So it's 10% of the CSO chats that we review for set metrics.
Thank you for sharing, Peter, with a lot of that information. I think we could go for ages just having a chat. I can see here that everybody has mentioned that they love the fact that there's a variety of channels, and Nick has also brought that up, that team members can be rostered across the channels, so they enjoy doing their work more. They have a variety of work, and that you can see that with the pandemic, that even your customers are starting to use more digital technology to connect, like live chat.
Yep.
Excuse me. And my question to you and to everybody is, if we could predict the next normal in 3 to 6 months' time, what would we prepare? So if everybody could just pop down something in the box, and Peter, if you could help us out as well.
I think the new business as usual. We need to really have a good look at the success of working from home and how we can implement that into our day-to-day working, because I think there's some really good benefits and there's also some challenges. Also, in implementing Microsoft Teams for us has been another really big success. And so how we can utilise that on an ongoing basis to reduce travel time, increase efficiency, and increase the communication between the teams. And also, I think, as Brandon and Nick mentioned, the key to consolidating knowledge. How do we best do that? And say, for example, we're fast tracking a knowledge base at the moment. And a big thanks, I actually got to give a shout out to Hume City Council, who've shared a lot of information and knowledge to get us going in developing the knowledge base. So there are a couple of reflections from me.
Thank you. And we've got Melissa saying that there have been questions about working from home in future. So a lot of people are going to think, okay, if we can work from home, then in future, perhaps we could work from home. What's going to be different? Australia's done such a good job with suppressing the virus that as we see restrictions lift and businesses start to go back to the new normal and perhaps go back to the office, not everybody may need to go back to an office. And also the other part of the coin is that could we have the virus reemerge again in certain hotspots? And so does that mean we go back to remote work? So how do we prepare for that for the future? What are some things that we are going to be doing? And I can see that all the councils are working really hard on that and sharing with us things like technology and putting things into action right away. Someone said, I agree with Peter, we need to access work from home. Knowledge management is critical. Digital first strategy to be able to work remotely as well. And a large, so those are some really key points that are coming up. So we're going to wrap up now. And as we wrap up, I'm going to thank everybody for their fantastic contributions. And if everyone, Peter, thank you so much. If everyone can share something that they're going to take away from these discussions today, and if you can put that into the chat box while I ask our guests to also share. So what is something you're going to take away from these discussions today? Thanks. So perhaps we could start with Nick.
I guess some takeaways, with all this change, I guess we're we're lucky in that we've got our teams still working and providing community support. I guess in the back of my mind, in the future, you know, with the emerging technology, I guess there is a bit of unknown. Like it's that scary element of the robot versus the human, and yeah, I guess it's about finding a balance and meeting the needs of the community at the same time. So yeah, a few really interesting things, I guess, ahead for everyone.
Thanks, Nick. Brandon, your mic's off as well, Brandon. Yeah, thanks.
I think for me, this experience has probably reinforced the fact that our sector is a little bit unique in that we really collaborate and we really share across the different councils and across different states. I think that for me, the thing from this is we should do more of that, and we should be more robust in how we do that. I think there's benefits in doing that from an economies of scale point of view, but there's also benefits in the amount of knowledge and expertise across the country that we can leverage. But facilitating that and creating that space is a bit of a challenge, but I think one that will give some reward.
Thanks, Brandon. Peter?
I think for me, it's continuing with the digital journey and incorporating a virtual assistant, as been previously mentioned, Facebook messaging, SMS and email, and linking it to the CRM that we're looking at building, and then consolidating that knowledge base. I really like Nick's approach in pushing live chat into the organisation, and we're looking at doing that with our planning team as well. So I think it's exciting, and disruption, when you come at it from a positive approach, there's definitely a silver lining to it, even though it's a lot of pain and the community has really suffered.
Thank you, Peter. Well, our comments from our attendees are: love the customer-focused, service-led slogan, the 24/7 live chat discussion, and all that collaboration and help after hours. So someone else has said, thanks to all the speakers, very informative, great to hear from so many of you about how you're responding. And John says, for me, it's the future of work from home, the increased flexibility. What's that going to look like in future? We've got reviewing and definitely taking away how to increase engagement and benefits of live chat, virtual assistants, and a lot of thanks coming through from everyone. So I'm going to say thank you very much, everyone. I'm going to hand over to Inder, who's been waiting there to conclude. Stay well, stay safe, stay strong, and over to Inder.
Thank you so much, Pierre. Thank you so much, Brendan, Nick, and Peter. It was incredible to have our local government community come together in such difficult times. And thank you to our participants as well for their amazing questions and participation in this session.